Hello awesome and welcome to my channel Little Sunshine. My name is Eva and I'm a mom of 22-month-old boy Daniel. This summer when Daniel was 18 months old, we made our first trip back to our home country since he was born. We're talking about 20-hour trip. We traveled from Atlanta, Georgia to London, United Kingdom. We had 7 hours in United Kingdom and from there we had another 3-hour flight to Bulgaria. And so on our way to Bulgaria I was with my husband, so I had some assistance and help from him, but on our way back I was alone with the child. And so if you're going to travel with your little one soon, you're in the right place, because today I'm giving you my top tips on how to prepare yourself for this trip and just have a positive experience. So let's get started. My first tip for you is to be prepared. Now, especially with the COVID situation, a lot of countries have some extra precautions, and so if you're traveling internationally and even if you're just traveling in the States to another state, they might have some different requirements too, and so just prepare yourself and check exactly what you're going to need so you can save yourself some stressful situations. And here's what I'm talking about. When we were preparing for our trip to Bulgaria, we knew that me and my husband will need to present a negative COVID test in order to get on the plane. But when we checked with the airlines and with the embassy, Bulgarian embassy in the United States, they told us that children under 2 don't need to present that test. And so in the United States everything was fine, in the United Kingdom everything was fine, but when we arrived to Bulgaria they asked for a negative test of Daniel too. We explained to them that regarding the information we have, he doesn't need this test, but they told us that instructions they have are different and everybody, no matter their age, need to present a negative test. And so everything was fine, we made a quick test, but if you're anything like me, you will like to prepare yourself in order to have a stressful free trip. And you know, it's not that big of a deal, but after a 20-hour or longer trip, and especially if you're alone with the kid, this situation might be pretty stressful. Another document we needed was a Locator Form from United Kingdom, and you need to fill it out prior to your flight and to give it at the check-in on the airport. And the information that you need to submit this Locator Form, you cannot find it on the airplane, on the flight company website. Rather, you can find it on the government's website. And you know, it's not only United Kingdom who require this Locator Form, it's also Greece and probably some other countries that I'm not aware of. And so just check everything very carefully and prepare everything, so no matter if it is COVID related paperwork, if it might be a declaration that if you travel alone with your child, that the other parents agree that you can leave the country with the child alone. It could be the birth certificate. Just even if you don't believe you might need that type of documents, you better take it with you just in case, so it will be a little more stress-free. My second suggestion for you is to purchase a separate seat for your child. You know that children under 2 can travel in your lap and you don't need to purchase a ticket for them. But if you're wondering whether it's worth it, have these extra expenses and purchase them a separate seat, it does make sense, because if they have their own seat, you can also take their car seat in the airplane at no extra cost and install it on their seat, so they can have their own space, and when it's time for them to have their nap or sleep, it will be much more convenient and safer for everybody. And this way you can also have some more freedom, stand up, move a little bit around, even go to the restroom, and just ask for the flight attendants to take a look at the child while you are not there, in case they wake up. My third tip for you is, if you have the chance to choose, purchase a ticket for a night flight, especially if you're going to travel longer. This is the period of the day when your child is going to be asleep, and the longer they sleep, the calmer flight you have. And if you travel during the night, it's much more possible that your child is going to be sleeping most of the time. My fourth next suggestion for you is for the moments while your child is awake and you need to keep them entertained. And my suggestion is to purchase a new toy, but don't show it to them until you're on the airplane. Just pick up the type of toy they are interested in, and don't give it to them before you go on the airplane. A friend of mine gave me this advice, and it was a pretty good one, because when you present your child a new toy, and especially the type of toy they are interested in, they will spend much more time playing with it compared to if you give them a toy that they play every day with. And if you don't want to spend some extra money on purchasing a new toy, you can just hide one of their favorite toys for some time before the flight and give it to them on the airplane. My next suggestion for you is to take snacks with you. Most of the babies and toddlers have problems with their ears, with the pressure during departure and landing off. And while they are chewing, this relieves some of the tension in their ears. And so if they're older children, you can go with some gummies or probably candies. But if they are younger toddlers or probably babies, you can give them for example a bottle of water or probably some snacks, because the chewing and swallowing just release some of the pressure they have in their ears. And if your child is one of those child who has problem with their ears while flying, this will release much of the pressure, of the pain they might feel, and they will feel much more comfortable. My next suggestion for you is to take extra spare clothes with you on the airplane for the child. And I'm not talking about only a spare t-shirt or probably a spare pants, but at least 2, 3, even more t-shirts, a couple of pants, a separate sweatshirt, because most of the times the temperature on the airplane is lower, and just you want to prepare yourself. The child can make their clothes dirty, they can wet themselves, their diaper might leak. There might be a lot of situations during your flight, and if you're going to travel longer trip with your child, you better take extra clothes with you. And what's more, and what happened in my situation on our way back, they might lost your child suitcase. So for the moment you arrive where you're going, you want to be prepared and just have some extra clothes with you, again, just in case. My next suggestion for you would be to take medicines with you on the airplane. And if you travel with your child for the first time on the airplane, you just don't know how they're going to react. And Daniel got sick on our way to Bulgaria, and on the second flight from London to Sofia, Bulgaria, he was already with a fever. So it's a good idea to be prepared and take at least something for high fever, probably some antihistamine solution in case they have some allergy, probably something to clear their nose. So just you better have it with you and not need it, instead of need it and don't have it with you. And what's more, if you're traveling internationally, probably where you're going, all the medicines will be from different providers and probably will have different names, and you will not be sure how your child is going to react. When, as I mentioned, Daniel got sick on our way to Bulgaria. There we visited a doctor. He recommended something for the high fever, and even though I had the medicine I typically use here in the States, I decided to purchase the local brand and try just because the doctor recommended so. and it turned out that Daniel is allergic to this medicine and his whole body was in a rush. So again, it's a nice idea to have something for high fever, something to clear baby's nose, and probably an antihistamine solution just in case. And my last tip for you is to set your expectations. Last tip, but a very important one. Just don't expect and imagine this perfect flight, because if you have it, then great. But if you don't, and even if your child is one of those child who is screaming and crying all the time, just it happens to everybody, and in the end you're on that flight for first and last time. Probably you won't see any of those people you're with anymore. And so whatever the situation is, just prepare yourself, and then once you're on your way, get on the flow, and whatever it is, don't stress too much about it, and don't have these higher expectations, because traveling with kids, it's not an easy task. And so this is everything for today's video. I wish you a safe trip. I hope the information in this video was helpful for you. If this is so, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my future videos with helpful tips on how to make parenthood just a little bit easier. Thank you for watching, have a nice day, and I'll catch up in the next one. Bye!